Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have with us the wonderful Erum Tasneem, I can't speak this morning, who is one of the instructors at the Posy Party Mix. We're so excited. Erum, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I am Erum Tasneem, and I am from Karachi, Pakistan. I have been on the All-New Design team since 2017. Since then, I've done quite a few things behind the scenes at All-New, but right now I am the coordinator for the All-New Educator Certification Program.
And how did you get into crafting?
I've always been into drawing and coloring. So it was from a very young age, but I got into proper stamping when I started vlogging in 2008. Before that, I didn't know about stamping or, embossing, anything like that.
Where did you first see stamping? Do you remember?
Yes, it was on a crafting magazine that I found on a flea market. And I think I saw some Mother's Day card with silver heat embossing, which I didn't know was heat embossing. It just saw some sparkly stuff, silver on purple and pink cardstock. And I found out about blogging from the websites. And then I saw embossing folders from there. And embossing folders and texture, and that is what won my heart. And I bought a lot of embossing folders, and that's it. It's never looked back. Started to make cards and got into coloring too. Coloring came later on. I left coloring because I loved the texture of the embossing folders. I was just embossing.
Shiny always gets us.
Yeah, no, the dry embossing. The heat embossing came later on because I didn't have the heat gun back then.
When did you get your first heat gun?
Oh, it was very later on. I don't remember the year, but it was very later on because I got the embossing powders, and it was and they kind of expired. Because it's quite humid here, and I opened it up. I didn't know about that because I was new to crafting, and I got them in gold and silver, but mine expired. But I still use them. You can still use them in mixed media, even if they don't melt. They do. You do get a great texture out of that embossing powder. It's a very gritty kind of texture.
I always hate to get rid of things too. I'd rather do, like you said, do a mixed media technique with them because you still get to use it up, use your supplies. It's just a little bit different than what you kind of purchased it for, but it's still excellent. So that's a good thing. What about this class do you feel cannot be missed?
Well, it's two amazing companies are collaborating, so what's not to like? And obviously you don't want to miss that. It's Swing Press Studio and All-New together. So also two very different kind of floral stems. So that's something.
And that's, we know it's going to be florals. So it's there are no cats out of the bag, so to speak.
Yes.
As we're both cat ladies, there's no cats out of the bag. It's, it's going to be some florals there. So we haven't given away any secrets really. But yeah, you do want to look at the beautiful surrounding of this interview though. That you may want to take a closer look at.
Mm-hmm.
So when you open a box of beautiful supplies, do you see a technique first or like a layout first?
Oh, no, I'm not a technique first person. I'm always a product first person. So every time I look at the product and I just start creating the layout, right? In my head, I start imagining what I can do with it. So even if I don't open a box and I just look at a PDF, I will start imagining how the images are going to go on a card. And mostly it's just the layout, it depends on the kind of the flower or the stamp shape of the stamp. Then the placement then comes to me according to the shape of that image.
Now we kind of know this question because one of Miriam's cards that she wants to create that's outside of her wheelhouse, we believe is one of your cards, but do you like to use realistic colors for your florals, or do you like to push the envelope and use all the colors?
Girl, don't you know already? I am the one person who use crazy colors all the time. So yes, I am far from using realistic colors. I use very odd color combinations, and I would like to experiment a lot.
But I think you've mentioned this before, that you basically see it in the world around you, because where you live, you have such bright inspiration. Just everywhere you look, you have beautiful, bright inspiration.
Definitely. I mean, right now, even what I'm wearing is quite vibrant. So our fabric and even our, I was just having some food that, a foodie here. So I was looking at the plate that I was having my food in, and it was quite funky. It's like it has a fuchsia in it, and turquoise and purple and whatnot. And so even in our ceramics and our floor mats, everything is quite colorful if you want to be. We can be very decent and sophisticated, but it's mostly the locals here would prefer to be colorful. It's just this part of the world, the South Asian community, they prefer the colors.
Yes, we're pretty drab in the United States. We're not, we have a lot of colors, but not in as beautiful arrangements as you have. Some of the most beautiful fabrics that I've ever seen, just the colors are so vibrant, and they're great for color combos too. Like if you're stuck, just Google because the color combos are things you'd never think of, but they're stunning together. And I think that's a great resource as well, because we're always looking for great places to find inspiration. And I think that's one. Ms. Tamp had said, I always look forward to Erum's coloring videos. And combinations are so easy to follow videos. And I agree. You always break things down so effortlessly, so it makes you feel like I can go in and I can do this too. So yes, I agree. You break your videos down flawlessly and amazingly. And so what's your favorite kind of color combo? Do you have one that you're like, I can't think of anything else, but this is my favorite?
Blue, gray, red, brown. But if you talk about alternate, I seldom work within the same color family. I like to mix them up. I've been doing that since I was a kid. So with alternate, since we have such an amazing range of colors, my favorite, I will talk about the ink colors. So our Coral Bliss, Ruby Light, I use them a lot together. And also Coral Bliss and Sunray, Autumn Blaze and Ruby Red, colors that are not in the same family, but will work very well together. I also use Emerald and Dark Night or Arctic Mountain together. lagoon and sunray. They make beautiful tropical leaves, and there's so many. I could just go on. And that's why I'm labeling my inks too, so that I can make new color combinations, come up with new color combinations.
I do. I like seeing the color with the name. It kind of gives you like, ooh, that could look nice as you're pulling colors kind of off the wall or wherever you're pulling your colors from. I think that helps to see visually what the color in front of you as opposed to like a black and white label.
Yeah, I've seen Mariam's swatch book of ink. It's so lovely. I wish I was not as lazy as I am. But I haven't. But I've bought that. The coin pocket book thing.
The 2x2. Yeah.
Once it reaches me, I have promised myself that I will create a swatch book for myself whenever it reaches me. Maybe February, I think, next year.
We'll check with you in March and see how it's going.
Oh, no, it will take me a while to do that. Have you seen the inks we have?
I think I am about probably 80 inks behind. I started one. I have one that has lots of them, but not all of them. So I'm in the same boat as Erum. So I at least have some started though. So I'm a little bit, maybe I'm in the front of the boat. I don't know. But so how do you keep your crafty mojo going?
Oh, well, I don't struggle often with my crafty mojo, but I just look around, everyday stuff. And if I am stuck in a rut, if I am, looking for inspiration, I will go through my old work. I have a board on Pinterest. It sounds very high and mighty and self-praising, but I have a board on Pinterest with my own work, old work that I have pinned, and I go through that very old work, and I would copy a technique or a layout. It's either one of that, and I would recreate that. If I am doing a tutorial for Altenew, I would copy a technique which needs a refresher. I haven't done that in a while, so I would do that again. And that just, it refreshes if you're not feeling up to it, if you're not feeling like crafting, or if your crafty mojo is dead, you need to wake it up. That's the thing that I do.
Tracy would like to know your favorite crafting snack.
Oh, you wouldn't know, but it's well, okay, I'll leave that. I have too many, so I'll just name another one. Almonds. I keep almonds next to me.
And that's very healthy. That's a heart healthy, smart snack.
Yes.
That's a good one.
The unhealthy one I keep away from my it's not here. I usually do I keep that in my other room when I'm reading my books. That is when I eat that. So because I don't eat a lot of. No, it's not chocolate. The chocolate is right over there, but I don't eat that often. I eat, when chocolate is when I am too stressed and I need it. That is when I take that out, or during the retreats, chocolate.
I think many of us have some form of chocolate in our crafty space.
KFC, KFC has to be there.
It's just comforting. It's like a crafting supply. They should start selling it at Altenew like chocolate.
Yeah, Altenew's chocolate.
What is one technique or one thing that you're always looking to improve for yourself for crafting?
Well, if you would have asked me this question a couple of years ago, I would have said clean and simple cards. For years, I have fangirled after clean and simple card makers like Laurie Willison and Michelle Short. But now I can proudly say that I can walk away from a perfect, the project and not add to it. It's like I will say it's finished and it's complete and keep it simple. But if I find the time, I would like to return to freehand watercolor, because I used to do it effortlessly before, and during the gouache release, I realized that I can't do it anymore. I was struggling to just create simple stems. My stems were going everywhere, and they were like quite shaky. My hand was quite shaking while I was creating them. So that is one thing that I would definitely go back to, and probably take an alternate academy class, as I was mentioning earlier, a watercolor class, just to refresh my skills. And watercoloring needs practice. Even someone who, like me, who creates tutorials on a weekly basis, struggles if you are not doing that kind of watercoloring. Like, I am doing more of stenciling right now, so, and not watercoloring. And if I'm doing loose watercoloring, which is super easy, and I'm not doing freehand watercoloring, which is an artist grade watercoloring, so, and you need to practice to create scenes. So you need to practice for that kind of watercolor. So I need to take a couple of classes of at Alternate Academy to get that back into the rhythm.
And I love revisiting those. That's the great thing, because like this class, once you purchase it, it's yours. You own it forever. You can go back and watch it 10 years from now and look at the techniques again. And just a reminder too, the registration is closing this week. So make sure, if you are like, oh, I'll look at it next week. No, look at it this week, because registration is closing and you will not be able to sign up and take part in this amazing event. But the great thing is you can go back. And I think when you go back, not only do you look at the techniques again, but I think it's inspiring, because you see something different kind of every time you go through these classes. You pick up a little something different. Maybe you didn't pick up the last time, which I think is something wonderful about this Alternate Academy and being able to do that. So I had Han asked my favorite snack. Right now, I'm living and dying by everything pita chips. Like, they are delicious. They are addictive and delicious and wonderful. So that's my snack right now. Okay, so the class is the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th. There are going to be 4 recorded classes and 2 lives, one from Heather with Pink Fresh. And we've already done Heather's interview, so make sure to check that out. And we'll also have one with Mariam as well. So make sure to check that out. We're very excited to see you all there. And do you have something that you tell yourself? Do you have a crafty mantra or a motto that you kind of get yourself going with?
I say this all the time, like, let it go. Like in my videos too, like, let it go, and have fun, relax. For every project, even when I am crafting, when I get too stressed, I'm like, it's just art, and you're just having fun. It is supposed to be fun. This is what you wanted to do. Don't get stressed. So I just said, I just say all the time that let it go, have fun.
And that's a good one, because it is supposed to be fun. I know we get to things and maybe you're trying to get your stems correct or something, and it's frustrating, but overall it should be a fun experience that's, you're relaxed
Exactly.
and having fun in it. So
Yeah, mostly this actually comes to when I am creating a tutorial for the watercolor classes, because people struggle when they are watercoloring, and a lot of people have this fear of watercolor, and that is when I'm continuously saying to let it go, do not worry about it. The more you worry, the more you overthink, I think the more you mess it up. That's why most of my watercolor tutorials for the beginners are loose watercolor, so that they can get a feeling of how the water works and how your paint works, to create simple backgrounds or to color an image with just letting the water work its own, magic.
Yeah.
And so just tell them to let it flow and let it go.
Now, do you have a go-to at the moment? This is your technique. This is the one you're going for.
Oh, well, I do. The loose watercolor is the one that I go for whenever I am on short of time. And there's one more. It's the Scribble Spritz technique. If you have ever watched one of my Scribble Spritz technique, where I take the Alternate watercolor brush marker, just scribble in and spritz with a spray. I think I'm going to do that for this class too, because I'm doing so many projects. So I thought I'd just throw that into, because I think the Pink Fresh Studio image, not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's going to be perfect for that technique.
And I may or may not have seen a beautiful, clean and simple card that you created as well. Like super, just had vibrancy and clean and simple, and it's just stunning.
Yeah.
So.
I wanted to show people that, see, I can create a clean and simple card.
So this is a tricky kind of question. So originally it was supposed to be, what is the one tool you can't live without? But then it's grown over the interviews with Heather and Miriam, where it's gone to 3 supplies, and then we've started doing categories. So what 3 supplies and or categories can you not live without?
Well, okay, that it has changed now. Lately, I've been using the stencils and inks and the mini ink blending brush a lot. I have left the watercolors and coloring mediums, the color pencils and everything aside. So I would say the inks, blending brush, and so stencils are going to come, or I have to include them as well. Other than that, I would include the watercolor, because I do create my backgrounds with watercolor still. So the three things are.
I think we'll let that go. I mean, pretty soon it'll be up to 10, but that's okay. Those are your favorite. That's the questions going forward.
Ink blending brushes and 24 pen set. That's the one.
That would be quite a combo. I've never tried those together before. Could make some really neat art,
because you create the background with the watercolor, because I create light watercolor, color wash backgrounds or like drip backgrounds, and you can add stenciled images inked on top of it.
Yeah, and I think
the card is ready.
And it's a beautiful, I don't know if people think of that often, but you can, after you've watercolored, use your stencils to add interest to it with ink blending.
Yeah.
Like you can combine them. It's an absolutely beautiful technique.
Absolutely.
So the crafty rut, we've had the crafty mojo, but the crafty rut, when you're in the crafty rut, if we have crafters out there right now that are like, I'm just stuck, I have nothing, what would be some advice to the crafty person stuck in a rut right now?
Well, I go through my older work, so you can do the same. You can go through your older work, but if you're new, you don't have any past work, then you can go through pre-made color palettes. Those are very helpful. And also there are so many sketches, card sketches or layouts if you're into scrapbooking. These are available online. I think that's a good starting point. If you just start with a good layout, I think that would get you out of that funk.
And we've mentioned too, we have free color palettes on the Altenew website. If you go over to our free section, there are swatches that you could do. So if you want to join Erum and I in swatching your colors, you can swatch. But there are also color palettes to inspire you to either get away from your favorite colors that you're always pulling. If you want to try some new ones, there are beautiful color palettes there as well. And they're absolutely free to help inspire you. And you talked about a beginner crafter. So for this class, the Posy Party Mix, what would you say to a beginner and also an advanced crafter? Because I know some folks worry that either they're a beginner or an advanced crafter, and they're like, well, I'm an advanced crafter, there's nothing for me here. Or they're thinking, I'm a beginner crafter, this is too advanced for me. So what would you say about this class to both of those categories?
Like I was just talking to you about this, like we call ourselves advanced crafters, right? And I was just telling you that I need to take a couple of Alternate Academy classes because I need to refresh my watercoloring skills. And I do create tutorials for crafters for watercolor. So if I am going through watercolor tutorials, then I don't think I mean, any advanced crafter could take a regular class and step it up. You can do your own thing to it. Like I can share tutorials with you, and you can do something extra with it. You know,
and we love to see that.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about a beginner? What would you say to a beginner that's like, this is too advanced for me, I just started a month ago?
So you will learn eventually. I mean, there are 4 teachers, and 4 teachers bring something different to your, to you. So each teacher is going to teach you, and our teachers are, they start from the very basic, and they also go to advanced. They know that there are each and every kind of person that's watching the class. So they will teach you from the very basic to the very advanced thing. Don't worry about it. Like I said, don't stress. Don't stress too much, and take this class. If you stuck, you have the teachers available. There's a Facebook group. If you can always get in touch with the teacher, and I'm pretty sure everyone is super helpful, and they will explain to you if you get stuck, if you have a problem. And I mean, I am available. I know Mariam will be very super helpful. She has always been. Leah and Heather are also available all the time.
Yeah. And the great thing is during class, although you can't speak, we have a chat similar to this, and you put your question in. I'll be there as the moderator. So I ask the instructor. So if you're stuck on something, or if you just have a question about a technique that you're like, oh, I don't know much about this, but they're doing it, so let me ask, you get to interact with them. There's also the Facebook group. Like Erum said, you can pop in there, you can post questions to the instructors. If you're creating after the event and you're like, oh my gosh, something's not coming together for me, what's going on, you could tag Erum and say, Erum, I'm following the instructions, but this just isn't, something's going wrong, and Erum may be able to help you. For example, Angie would like to know, what stencils are your favorite? Do you have a favorite stencil right now?
So the coloring, the layering stencils, I love the layering stencils, but there's this one stencil that I always pull. It's the what's that? What's this? The tool stencil. The tool.
Oh my god!
I kind of forgot. I was saying grid, and then I was like, no, it's not grid. It's like that. It's the tool stencil that I always pull out. That is the one that I really like. With the coloring, the layering stencils, I love them. I always pick out the geometric ones because I add them behind my florals to ground the image.
It's always, I love those. And I was using like the mask stencils the other day. I love a stencil. I just love a stencil, but the layering are so fast. I'm actually going to start my mother on layering stencils because she's been very stressed lately. And so I said, I have something that I think will be very calming for you. And seriously, you just lay it there and that's it. And so I think that's a good place. If you guys have somebody out there trying to get into crafting, I think layering stencils are a good place to start, because just lay it down, line it up, and you're good to go. But yeah, that tool stencil, there are some that just always stay with you. And that one it's so versatile. It works so well. And this kit as well, when you guys see this kit it will stay with you. It's not just something that you're using for a class and you're like, oh, I used it for the class. This is something, the stamp sets you will reach for again and again. They are so beautiful. There are so many extra goodies in there too in the kit. So it's very exciting. So make sure, again, you check that out because registration will be closing very, very soon. So do you have, we know you love kitties, but do you have any other interests aside from crafting and card making?
Books. I read a lot. So every chance I get, I just pull out my iPad and start reading.
Do you have a favorite genre?
Not as such, but right now it changes. So right now I'm reading some high fantasy books. Any good book, and I will read. I it's I also I cannot give up on a book, so I will read a crappy book too. But I recently did did I just had to click on that cross because it was just, I was like, oh my god, it's 2,000 pages. I'm at 70. No, that I cannot. It's
I can't stop a bad book either. I can't stop a bad book or a bad movie because I'm like, but what if it picks up? Because I always feel like the page I stop at, the next page it's going to get really interesting. So I always read it through, even if
no, but maybe I'll give it a chance again. But right now, I had a better book lined up, so I knew that no, not now, not right now. I am in a crappy mood already, so no.
2,000 pages is kind of a commitment, though. Like that's not like a 200 page, but that's some time. Yeah, I think I could quit out of especially 17 out of 2,000. If you're not into it,
yes. And it was very early on. I usually don't quit that early, but I was not into it. It was moving too fast too soon.
Sometimes you do have to, as my stepfather says, cut bait and just move on. So what would you say, do you have a forte in crafting? Like what do you feel you're best at in crafting?
Well, everyone says watercoloring, and I do think that it comes easily to me. It used to, but I think I'm struggling right now because of the coloring stencils, as I mentioned, because I am using the coloring stencils so much that I'm neglecting watercoloring. So even though I can watercolor, it's not that I cannot. I recently did a watercolor card and it was okay. But I think, I can feel it that I need to work on the watercolor more. I'm regressing instead of progressing. I can feel it,
I don't think I could pick, I don't know about you guys out in the chat, but I don't know that I could pick a favorite thing that you do because I love everything you do, like your artist markers and your pencil work and your blending and I don't think I could pick like one technique that you do that's a favorite. Like they're all just absolutely amazing. Oh, do you have any advice for Angie? She said, I cannot watercolor. I've tried so many times.
And she go through the tutorials. They are so easy. And the easy ones, where I say easy watercolor tutorial, go through that.
The AECP classes, if you look at the bundles, those are a good place to start because those will give you like an introduction, especially level 1. I can't remember if there's a watercolor in level 1, but there may be not a watercolor in
level 1. Watercolor media.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one in level 1. So try starting there and going from there. And remember, you are your worst critic. So don't be too hard on yourself because a lot of times we look at our work and we're like, oh, this is horrible. And we show it to folks and like, oh my God, I love your color and blah, blah, blah. So keep that in mind too. You are your harshest critic. So be gentle, be gentle. So go to the Alt New store and put in AECP for the Alt New Educator Certification Program, and it has the bundles. So look at those and pick some classes out of watercolor on those. Those will be a good starting point for you. But they really are. You can go along with them, and once you have them, oh, you're so welcome, Angie. Once you have them, you can always go back to them and look at them again. So that's the great thing, is you have these classes forever. So that's the great piece. So the last question we have for you, is there a fun, weird, or interesting fact that we don't know about the amazing Erum Tasneem?
Well, I'm so weird. I have to look for normal stuff to tell you. So
You're absolutely wonderful.
So I collect superhero stuff. I have figures, t-shirts, cushions, mugs, keychains. So Superman, Spider-Man.
Is he your favorite? Is Superman your favorite?
Superman, Spider-Man, I love them. You can see them, the stuff here. There's also Superman there. So that my mother hates this because I'm a grown woman collecting children's toys. But these are like expensive things. There's a note. These
I have a peep on my desk.
Yeah.
So there's a story behind it, but I have a peep on my desk. So, I think we all have little things that keep us kids at heart, so to speak. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you for asking questions and everything. Make sure to head over. The Facebook group is now open, so we're just click on the link when you get the email. Come on in and have a nice chat. We have some questions going in there already. We're excited to see you and excited to get you pumped up, because although it's September and it's, kind of like 2 months away, like 6 weeks away, it's going to go so fast. It's going to be here before you know it. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you head on over and check it out, because again, registration is closing and we would love to see you in class. I've seen the projects. They're absolutely stunning, and definitely you don't want to miss this. The stamp sets and the extras are gorgeous. There are some clear drops in there and some shiny foil in there, and beautiful, beautiful, gorgeous florals, as you would expect from this amazing collaboration that we have. So thank you so much to our wonderful guest, Erum, for joining us and having a little chat with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, always a pleasure to have you join us. And from all of us at Altenew, thank you so much for allowing us to help you craft your life. We'll see you very soon. Bye, everyone.